Kenny with Just the Right Angle, coming at you live with an update on several different events that have happened over this past week. You can follow me at Just the Right Angle on Rumble, where I give updates about events that have happened. And of course, YouTube account Keep Arkansas Legal. This just happened a few hours ago. This is from Right Angle News Network. And now it can be confirmed there was an individual killed by, it says CBP, but Border Patrol was attempting to, looks like he was attempting to draw a weapon on agents before they were forced to deploy lethal force. There is video footage of it. You can see this on multiple websites. There is some language that's being played, so I'm not going to play the whole video. This is 20 seconds, and there's a shot of the weapon itself that they recovered. Can't quite tell what caliber that is, but that looks like a semi-automatic weapon with a magazine that they show here. There's another angle of this from a woman who's been identified as the lady in pink jacket. This is her angle of this incident. We don't know what this person was doing there. There's been several violent clashes between Border Patrol and leftists who are trying to stop them from doing their job. There's, of course, the woman who tried to run over an ICE agent a few days ago who had to be stopped with lethal force. There was another incident, I believe, in Portland with a similar situation. So basically, the leftists are trying to do street fights against Border Patrol and police who are assisting them. So that's the situation we're in now, at least in several of these blue cities. There have been some protests in Arkansas against Immigration Customs Enforcement. I'm not aware of any violent clashes regarding ICE in this area. I'm not saying that hasn't happened. I haven't seen any incidents where that's taken place. If you see any incidents where something like this is happening, let everyone know. In most cases, it's likely the leftist protesters who are often paid and hired by globalist organizations to antagonize and start riots are often at fault. But of course, we're not going to sit here and pretend like the police are absolutely perfect. There may be instances where government officials do something incorrect. Matter of fact, an Arkansas state trooper was recently fired for accidentally ramming the wrong vehicle. That was an incident that occurred several months ago. He was trying to follow someone, a criminal, and then mistook another car for that criminal and pit maneuvered it off the road. So again, we do need to focus on these incidences, see what's happening, but it's most likely that a leftist, again, tried to commit some act of violence against the Border Patrol who are trying to remove very dangerous people from our streets and from our nation. And they tried to use violence to do so and ended up paying the price. And on another issue regarding ICE, a different kind of ICE, most of the nation, including Arkansas, is in a ice storm. A lot of churches have already canceled their service for Sunday. And most likely there will be schools and places of employment that will be closed for Monday as well. Here's a little snapshot of the broadcast. This is in North Little Rock. The low is 6, the high is 26, and that's going to be for Sunday and Monday, which means most of this ice and sleet and snow and stuff that is on the ground is likely not to really melt. Tuesday, we're supposed to be a little warmer and sunny, but there'll still be patches of stuff on the ground. So do be careful and go out there. Hope everybody is nice, bundled up and warm. But there's a quick snapshot of what's going on with the weather. And folks, I'll go ahead regarding Right Angle News Network. I try to promote organizations that generally advocate a conservative viewpoint. So I will post a link to their Twitter page. You can check them out. and give your own opinion regarding what happened with that other incident. But anyway, back to more of the political stuff that's going on. I just saw this update yesterday. I did attend some of the pre-trial hearing regarding Aaron Spencer. This is from the Facebook page We Support Aaron Spencer. For those who don't know, this is the person who defended his daughter from a criminal who was abusing his daughter and should have never been released at all. I don't know if this organization gives details of that. You can see on other websites regarding Aaron Spencer. This has received nationwide news. Aaron Spencer ended up finding this guy who had kidnapped his daughter and killing the criminal. And now there is a anti-gun legal system in the state of Arkansas that has been trying to rig a trial against him. They were trying to withhold evidence from Aaron Spencer's defense from being allowed to be put before a jury. The main judge involved with that was Judge Barbara Elmore. And yesterday, the Arkansas Supreme Court delivered an opinion. The court granted the defense petition, vacated Judge Barbara Elmore's courtroom gag order, removed her from the case entirely, and stayed the prosecution until a special judge is appointed. So they didn't just disagree with what Judge Elmore was doing, they kicked her off the case. And by the way, this trial was supposed to start on the 26th, this coming Monday. If you were planning on attending an event there, that has been apparently delayed. So I don't know if they're still going to try to have rallies in support of Aaron Spencer on that day, but it's more likely that there's probably not going to be any reason to go up to Lone Oak around there. And here's some various comments regarding that statement. Most people overwhelmingly are for this. Aaron Spencer, by the way, is running for sheriff in Lone Oak County. He is a candidate for the Republican primary there. And of course, this still is regardless of the election. Anybody mentioning this state doesn't just because they're mentioning what goes on here legally doesn't mean that anybody's endorsing Aaron Spencer. It's just pointing out a fact that has happened regarding this case. So if you can go to the Facebook page, We Support Aaron Spencer, if you want more information on that issue, and posting that in the chat. Just a link that you can, if you're not able to click on the link, you can just copy it and paste it. But again, I haven't followed this as well. Probably Courtney Roldan is another great news source regarding this issue. She's another Republican candidate. She's running for city council I believe, for Cabot. But she's also been following this and giving regular updates. She's in this area. Lone Oak Cabot is basically not quite central Arkansas, to the east of Little Rock. You'll find Lone Oak there. But anyway, moving right along, a lot of people, of course, have talked about Minneapolis. The drama there started a lot with what was going on with the Somali daycares, the infamous Learing Center, where billions of dollars have been stolen from taxpayers like you and me to fund apparently all kinds of lavish lifestyles for Somali illegal immigrants, and even apparently terrorism. There's a terrorist group, I believe it's called Al Shabaab, which is based in Somalia, and some of your tax dollars that you work hard for have been money has been taken out of your paycheck to fund these people. And there's a lot of people that need to go to jail, both in Minneapolis and most likely in Washington, D.C., for allowing it to happen. But I always try to tie this to Arkansas. I've mentioned before some of the other scams that have happened in Arkansas, but this is something I saw on Twitter. This is by Wick on Twitter X, whichever you want to call it. It's Chelsea Clinton's foundation, funded annually by USAID with allocations made during the Obama administration, aims to provide afternoon meals to children in Africa, India, and Bangladesh. However, recent data shows only 11,000, not quite 12,000 meals have been served, suggesting each meal cost about $1,400. So apparently, this organization had $70 million. Chelsea Clinton's husband, who I believe is connected to Soros, I believe it's one of a like a nephew of one of the Soros families, $45 million. Her inheritance, $52 million. USAA funding, $3.9 million a year, $25 million in real estate. Apparently, monthly expenses are $100,000, and apparently, she has 8 vehicles. So again, just like the scams have gone on here. It's not as bad as Somalia in terms of the dollar amount, but the problem is the same. We're still being scammed. And scams like this are happening across the nation with all kinds of nonprofits where your tax dollars are being taken away from you in order to fund the lavish lifestyle of others. And part of the reason why we have a lot of these nonprofits, organizations that are able to get away with scamming taxpayers is because the political parties are run by consultants that are run by the same that sabotage any efforts for real reform. This is from the organization called Resident News Network. This is a state capitol weekend review from Senator Brian King. I've actually posted this at the start of this video of the image of this organization called Deloitte. And apparently this organization is this massive group. It's supposed to be some kind of accounting organization, but it's also some kind of political consultant group. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'll start from here. Mega consulting companies like Deloitte and McKinsey have pocketed hundreds of millions of dollars of Arkansas's hard-earned tax dollars and hired former high-level staff members such as Jamie Barker and legislators like Grant Hodges. They have also hired former governor's staff like John Gilmore to lobby for them. Deloitte has pocketed over $500 million alone. Now, Governor Sanders wants to appoint Jamie Barker, her former deputy chief of staff, to the Board of Corrections. Apparently, having real experience like working in construction or banking or having any law enforcement or prison-related experience is not a requirement. To my knowledge, Jamie Barker's only experience is being a politico. A politico is one who jumps from politics, lobbying, and government jobs. This 29-year-old politico is now set to be a member of a high-level governing body that provides oversight and policy direction for the state's Department of Corrections and related divisions. So yes, this organization has been this Deloitte organization, which I didn't know that much about. I had focused on a lot of the other political lobbyists, especially those who have run the Republican Party, like Chris Caldwell and Chase Duggar. I didn't know that much about this organization until I found some of the news about it. Again, this was breaking yesterday, and apparently Jamie Barker as being a chairman of the Board of Corrections, which again oversees a lot of our prisons. And apparently, this is from Wayne Dunn for Arkansas. Mr. Barker just steered a $125 million contract to Deloitte while serving as Sarah Huckabee Sanders' deputy chief of staff / legislative director. He is now a quote-unquote partner in the very firm that represents Deloitte. Huey Long, who was the corrupt politician in Louisiana, would be proud of this maneuvering. And if you type in Deloitte on Facebook, apparently there's one story here is supposed to be some kind of, by the Economic Times, is in favor of Deloitte because they're ramp up lots of jobs. But when I started looking into Deloitte not too long ago, this is from a group called NL Proud, Deloitte Canada, to investigate allegations fraud against none other than Deloitte Canada itself. The auditing firm has already admitted that it used AI to generate false citations in the $1.6 million Health Human Resources report it produced for the province. So here's an example of them scamming people people in Canada. And here's another story. This is from Doge, and it gives all kinds of examples of scams. $7.9 million to Sri Lanka, $20 million for Sesame Street show in Iraq, and it goes through all the other ones. But guess what? When one of those scams mentioned $25 million for Deloitte to promote green transportation in the country of Georgia. So again, when you just type in this company, you start seeing, example after example of scams, multi-million dollar government scams. And there's Deloitte, of course, has their own Facebook page. But this is the kind of stuff that we're having to deal with. And as I have mentioned before, and I'll share the graphic that where I talk about this, until we remove the consultants that are running the Republican Party, this kind of behavior is still going to happen. And more money is going to go from your paycheck to guys like this guy on the right. Now, this guy on the left, that's Bill Clinton. But the guy on the right is Chris Caldwell. And again, this guy, for all intents and purposes, runs the Republican Party of Arkansas. This is a guy who I've mentioned before is able to shut down a Republican state committee halfway before it was done just because he didn't want them to talk about certain issues. And here's another view of this is the same Chris Caldwell. Here he is with our current governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. He also worked for John Bozeman for a long time as the U.S. Senator. And here are some of his clients. Summit Utilities, which, by the way, is increasing their rates. Arkansas Trucking, which, by the way, blocked legislation that would have prevented some of these truck drivers that don't speak English from crashing into people. And then these are big healthcare organizations, Empower and AHCA. So again, as long as you have those kinds of people running the Republican Party, you're going to have more examples of consultant types being put into positions of power and getting millions of our tax dollars. So again, Arkansas is not as bad as what's going on in Minnesota, but if we need to make sure we don't end up at that level. Find a way to get involved. Find out what's going on, and you find the globalists that are in your backyard. Of course, Republican primaries are going on in March. Find out who these candidates are, who's running their campaigns, what have they done in the past that actually matters, and find a way to get it. Find a way to find out what's going on. Be the person that a lot of people will ask when it's time for election time what to do. You'll get that. You'll get a bunch of people, and they'll be sometimes some of them will be in the voting place asking, who do I vote for? So kind of have that in mind because elections are going to be coming up soon. Like I said, the Republican primary is March 3rd. Early voting is a few days beforehand. So you want to make sure you kind of have an idea of what yourself, who to vote for on your own. And then how to help advise others. But anyway, that's about it for now. Y'all stay safe, stay warm. Give any updates if you know of any other issues that are going on. There's several special election tax increases I'll talk about on another broadcast. If you know of any other news stories you'd like to know about, just let me know. Contact me at justtherighteangle@yahoo.com. You can message here on Rumble. Also on Facebook. I have several links posted below of where you find me. Remember, when the righteous rule, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. You all have a great day.